The CEO pretended to sleep to test her janitor, but what he did saved her collapsing company. Eleanor Winters had a plan that evening. A test, really. At 64, she'd learned to trust her instincts about people, and lately something felt wrong at Winters Industries. The company her late husband had started 40 years ago was crumbling, and she couldn't understand why. The numbers said one thing, but numbers didn't explain the feeling in the hallways, the sense that something essential had been lost. So tonight she would stay late. She would pretend to sleep at her desk and see what happened when people thought no one was watching. Starting with the night janitor, a man named Robert Chen, who'd been with them for 3 months. Eleanor settled into her leather chair and closed her eyes. She slowed her breathing, let her head tilt to the side. To anyone passing by, she would look like an exhausted executive who'd simply dozed off. She heard the elevator doors open at 9 o'clock, the soft roll of wheels on carpet, the janitor's cart. Robert's footsteps approached her office, then paused at the doorway. Eleanor kept her breathing steady, wondering what he would do. Would he rifle through papers? Take photos of documents? She'd heard stories of corporate espionage. She heard him set something down gently, then silence. After a long moment, she felt something soft drape over her shoulders. A blanket, the scratchy wool blanket from the break room sofa. "Rest well, Mrs. Winters," Robert whispered. "You carry too much alone." Eleanor's heart squeezed. She heard him move to the corner of her office and begin dusting, working quietly, carefully. After a few minutes, he began to hum, a gentle melody that reminded her of simpler times. Then he did something unexpected. He started talking, his voice soft, as if speaking to himself. "My daughter asked me tonight why I smile when I come to work," he said quietly. "She thinks cleaning offices is beneath me." I told her there's no such thing as beneath, only beside. We're all just walking each other home. He moved to the bookshelf, his cloth moving in gentle circles. I told her about Mr. Patterson in accounting. He always leaves his coffee cup exactly in the same spot, never makes a mess. A man who respects the space he occupies. And Mrs. Liu in marketing, she leaves thank you notes. Small things, but small things are everything, really. Eleanor felt tears pressing behind her closed eyelids. I told my daughter I had my own business once, a grocery store. When it failed, I thought I'd failed too. His voice grew softer. But I learned something. Success isn't what you build. It's how you treat people while you're building it. He paused near her desk. I see this company struggling and it breaks my heart. Not for the company. Companies come and go. For the people. I see Margaret in HR staying until midnight, worried about her team. I see young Daniel, barely 23, teaching himself accounting because he's afraid of letting people down. Robert's voice carried a gentle sadness now. The problem isn't in the numbers, I think. It's in the hearts. When did everyone stop eating lunch together? When did the photos come down from the walls? When did people stop knowing each other's names? He moved back toward his cart. My wife tells me I'm too sentimental. Maybe so. But I've cleaned offices in 5 different companies, Mrs. Winters. And I can tell you, the ones that succeed, they remember that business is just people taking care of each other. That's all it ever was. Eleanor heard him pause at the door. Sleep well, he said gently. Tomorrow's troubles can wait for tomorrow. His footsteps faded down the hall and Eleanor opened her eyes. Tears ran freely down her face now. She sat up, pulling the wool blanket closer. She looked around her office, really looked. When had it become so cold? When had she stopped putting flowers on her desk the way her husband always had? She thought about Robert's words. People taking care of each other. She remembered the early days when the company was just 12 people in a tiny office. They'd celebrated birthdays, known each other's children's names. David, her husband, had believed that if you took care of people, everything else would follow. When had she forgotten that? Eleanor stood and walked to the window. The city lights sparkled below. Somewhere out there, Robert was going home to his daughter, a man who found dignity in honest work and wisdom in simple truths. She pulled out her phone and began making notes. Not about layoffs or restructuring, about people. The next morning, Eleanor called an emergency meeting, but not with the board. With the employees. I've forgotten something important, she told them, her voice steady. My husband used to say we weren't building a company, we were building a family. And I let that slip away. She saw surprise on their faces. Hope, too. Starting today, we're going back to basics. Not financial basics, human basics. I want to know your names, your stories, what makes you smile. Over the next months, something shifted. Lunches became communal again. Photos returned to desks. People started staying not because they had to, but because they wanted to. And the numbers? They followed. Because customers could feel the difference. People could tell when they were working with a company that cared about its own. Eleanor made sure Robert received a substantial raise. More than that, she made sure everyone knew why. She told them about the night she pretended to sleep, and the janitor who taught her that the measure of a company isn't its profit, it's its heart. Robert still works the night shift. He still hums while he works, but now people leave him notes thanking him. And sometimes Eleanor stays late just to talk with him. Two people who understand that the greatest wisdom often comes wrapped in the simplest truths. Sometimes we have to close our eyes to finally see what matters. And sometimes the person who saves your company is the one you never thought to ask.